Well, hello there.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Oh, lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff.
Yeah, you said you had a surprise.
Well, let's start off with the easy stuff first. I'm not sure if you've heard this, but George Anthony DeValder, Santos, Jingleheimer, Schmidt, O'Malley has struck a deal with Brazil.
Yeah, I had heard about that.
He pled guilty if they gave him no jail time.
Right. And something else.
And he
had to pay back, and he had to admit it in public, and
right.
so on and so forth, a few other things like that. But basically, just let me throw some tomatoes at you in public is pretty much what he got.
Right. I just I just had to bring it up because
I think it's a great idea on behalf of Brazil. I think it's awesome. You know, because they're never going to. That's the only way they would get justice for him, and they weren't going away. They were a problem for him.
Right, but if you think about it now, all his constituents know that he, have beyond the shadow of a doubt have proof that he's a con man.
Right.
He's a grifter, and no one's going to vote for him next election.
Yeah, he's done.
Not a chance.
And he needs to make this go away too, really. But he's done. He's so, his face has been out there so much. You know, any form of career that he may have had, he may as well change it.
Well, it's funny you say that. I agree with you. But I think that it's also wrapping up for another congressperson. And that would be Lauren Boebert.
Oh, Boebert. No, I was thinking, I can't think of his name, but he's another guy that is guilty of a similar thing that DeSantis is for having a blank, nothing in his stats, just a bunch of words.
Oh, yeah. There was I think it's a woman from Florida.
Oh, well, maybe another, but no, the one I'm speaking of is a guy. He's from maybe Tennessee or some state. I don't remember. I mean,
they're all Republicans and they're all lunatics. But Lauren Boebert, especially for her attempted gotcha during the hearing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, people in her state, in her district, have to realize that she's an idiot.
She didn't win by much.
You know that
just a few hundred votes.
She never graduated high school, and yet she's trying to get rid of the Department of Education.
Well, yeah, there's no money in that.
She doesn't feel like a government entity, a nationwide entity should be deciding what our kids learn in school. It should be up to the local governments, not even the state, but local, to decide what each. You know how stupid that is? You know how if East Greenbush decided to do that and Rensselaer decided to do that, and then all of a sudden you got, Rensselaer teaching them in ninth grade the ABCs, and you got East Greenbush teaching them calculus in ninth grade, and then they both try to go to college. Who's going to get fucked up? It's got to be universal.
Right.
You can't just have it your city decides or your local community decides what you learn in school. That's right. Ridiculous.
It is very. I hear you.
Now that we mentioned Florida, let's get on to the fun news. In February, Ron DeSantis signed a legislation taking autonomy away from Disney and putting it on his own group of 5 handpicked loyalists to him.
It's like comedy, what's going on here.
Well,
they've tied their hands. They've tied DeSantis' hands until 2053 at least.
Well, it was discovered last night that Disney, the day before DeSantis signed,
Yeah.
signed a contract using a rarely known clause that dates back to the 1600s, saying that that contract is valid until the last survivor of King George III, King Charles III, is deceased. 21 years after that.
And
now that means that DeSantis has to wait for King Charles to pass away, Harry and his brother,
and they're like this tall, right?
And his grandchildren and great grandchildren, and then after they all pass, he still has to wait 21 years after that.
Yep.
So you're talking it could be a century or never.
The only thing they can do is roads and existing infrastructure. Nothing new. But then they can continue to build more infrastructure that they have to be responsible for. DeSantis has no authority. His little clan will have no authority over any improvements or. What will happen is DeSantis will go, and we'll get someone in there that either makes sense or is, dare I say, not a Republican. Maybe even an independent.
Well, they hired 4 separate law firms to fight Disney.
And they're not
because of this.
Any headway.
All law firms that have donated to DeSantis's campaigns.
Probably heavily.
And they're
pro bono too, I bet.
And now they've hired private investigators to see if they can find anything that Disney had done illegally between then and now to nullify everything.
Disney is, I mean, I worked for him for a little while. My wife worked for him for more than 20, and a whole bunch of people we know, whatever.
What gets me is
Disney's good at covering themselves. They're very, very good at, and whatever. I don't mean that in a nefarious way or anything, but entirely.
What I didn't know was that DeSantis, part of his agreement was he wanted to take control of the park itself.
Yes.
Like dictate what the entertainment was, what characters they could use, and so forth. And now in this contract that was signed the day before DeSantis's, it says he's not allowed to have anything to do with any of the characters at all.
Nothing to do with the parks. Only roads and water pipes, electric grid type things, infrastructure like that. Nothing else.
And I believe the $2 billion. I believe the $2 billion tax debt also goes back to DeSantis.
I believe so. No, more put a finer point on it. It goes to the taxpayer. That didn't have to do
yeah. But I mean, it leaves Disney's control.
You got to think about it. That could potentially be an enormous burden because they only have sales tax. Last I knew, they don't have state tax. And this is a lot of money, all of us, and having living and working around Disney and stuff, man, Disney roads and things like that are, I must say, they're pretty nice too. Well kept, well groomed, a lot of trees, a lot of, good stuff to look at, and they're cool because of all the trees, so they're not blazing hot all the time. Plus the bus routes and stuff like that. Plus all the rails, and they got all kinds of things. They've done a great job, I will say.
To put a head on the beer, so to speak,
City's gonna fuck it up.
Disney has announced they will be hosting the world's largest LGBTQ conference at Disney World.
Oh, I didn't hear that. That's awesome.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yes, the world, and it's not the country's largest, the world's largest.
That might be worth going to be honest with you. I bet you that will be a hell of a lot of fun.
So
I've been to a few events like that through my wife and stuff, and I was, it kind of changes your mind when you meet other people about things. It puts things.
Well, the reason all this dust kicked up in the first place,
educational.
was because Disney wasn't going to say anything, but about the don't say gay bill that DeSantis signed.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, a lot of employees decided they were going to walk out. Like a majority of them, if Disney didn't take a stand, and so Disney did, and that's what happened.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I remember that. So they were kind of backed into a corner, but Disney, I would not be surprised if 60 to 70 or more percentage of their employees are in that community one way or another.
Right.
And,
or they know somebody.
Like I said, having worked there with my own personal experience, I mean, I never had an issue with anyone. I mean, everybody was always cool. It was never a big deal. No one ever no one ever tried to really mess with me at all. I mean, just nudges here and there, whatever. And then once they knew how I felt, they left me alone. No big
okay.
deal.
So they, well, I figure they're either in that community or they know someone in that community.
Yes, sure.
And yes, according to sources, the Orlando Sentinel being one of them, and Tampa Bay, Fox 13 Tampa Bay being another, Disney will hold the world's largest LGBTQ conference and gay rights summit in September of this year. And I think that's a great thing. Number one, for that community, that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's also one hell of a dig at DeSantis.
I think so.
Because now his precious Florida is going to be flooded with people from that community, from all over the world.
Yeah, I mean, you can throw a rock and
from all over the world, they're going to come.
Right. Yes. Yeah, probably all over the country. I would not be surprised. And that's, I mean, that's, I hope it shows what it's supposed to show, that, they're just people having fun and, whatever.
Oh yeah, I can guarantee there will be absolutely no violence.
I hope there's no Proud Boy bullshit or any of those other organization groups, whatever.
Oh, I'm sure that they will be stopped at the gates.
I hope so. I don't know. I just hope everything goes smoothly. There's no issues, no problem. Because that'll send even a bigger message in itself if there's no issue. And there shouldn't be. No reason for there to be.
But what kind of intelligence does it take to invoke a law that goes all the way back to the 1600s just to screw DeSantis?
But how afraid do you have to be of nothing to create such an environment that had to happen?
Right.
I mean, they created this. They've been doing it. The books they banned. Rosa Parks. Really? And then other people are trying to ban the Bible, and the Bible it's full of all kinds of stuff, pornography and incest and theft, and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Culture, you talk about a book that's full of stuff, and yeah, you need to take it all into context. Exactly. But maybe that is something we need to freaking be a little bit more sensitive about with our kids. I'm just saying, yeah, here you go. Because will that 3, 4, 5, 10-year-old really understand what they're reading?
Well, they're kind of stuck.
My sister kind of thing. Whoa,
they're kind of stuck right now because the way that they wrote the law, they have to.
If one person has to say something and they pull it to review.
Right, but they don't pull it. They have to review the book and have a committee meeting. You know,
but anyway,
have a committee meeting.
Freaking have that happen.
Right. So they have to have this committee meeting on the Bible, and it has to be on the up and up because it's they're under government surveillance. So they're like, he's the guy who wrote the bill says this is not what it was intended for. We just have to hope that the people doing the oversight do the right thing. Yeah, they're going to do the right thing, and they're going to say, yeah, the Bible's out, or change, or get rid of the bullshit.
Right. But also that reminds me too, and this must be Florida too, because it's a Disney movie. At least I'm going to make an assumption it's Florida. You might know the story. It's about a 6-year-old, dealing with segregation or whatever like that. She's now 68 years old now, I think. And that was pulled because one or two parents didn't like it. I guess the parents had to sign permission slips, and 2 kids' parents opted to not have their kids see it.
I think it was the first girl to break the segregation barrier at school.
Yeah, something like that, right? I'm sorry, I wish I remembered off the top of my head what it was, but come on, man. Is that what we really want to go back to? Really? Which part of the...
They actually do.
There's nothing back there really. It wasn't really that good. Everybody's sick and shit all the time. All kinds of problems with segregation. Whatever. It was bad.
Well, apparently,
the prosperity was only one person needed to work. One person made enough money that the other spouse did not have to work. In this case, the wife.
Right.
But we should have that again. Could you imagine when the husband and wife get together, how much more that's worth? You can actually build something when you have that kind of, income. But they took it away from us once we started having that, and wages just dropped, and profits went skyrocket.
Right, but
it's all kind of tied in, I think.
DeSantis, I think he's trying to make a law that's unconstitutional.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, totally.
And what I mean by that is,
will our Constitution support it?
What I mean by that is, he wants to ban Democrats from Florida, and he's going about it in a really underhanded way. He wants to pass a law that says that you cannot be a political party, and you cannot be registered as a political party in Florida if you have ever endorsed slavery or indentured servitude.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that during the Civil War, the Democrats were on the slavery side.
Yeah, the roles have somehow flipped. How is that? Where they're now, the Republicans are now, anyway.
So now, since the Democrats were on the slavery side, according to his law, they would not be allowed to be a party in Florida. Even though it happened during the Civil War.
Wow. I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't think that's constitutionally legal, though.
They would have to prove, I would believe, that is the case today. If they went that route.
See, because
today, and I think if they did that, they would find that it was they themselves, the Republicans, that are probably more closer to danger of that than anyone.
See, because like I said, his bill says if at any time in history your party was a party to slavery,
right?
Then you can't. Then you
majority. They can pass that tomatoes can be lawfully led if they wanted to. That would be fine. DeSantis would sign it. They can pass. They have a super majority. They can do anything they want at this point. It would have to be fought in the courts.
Well, my question is, if he outlaws the Democratic Party,
mm-hmm.
can't those Democrats make their own party and still be Democrats?
It would have to be fought in a court. if he did that.
Because he's not saying the people can't form a party. He's saying you can't form the Democratic Party. So call it the continuous party.
Oh, I suppose. Sure, right. I mean, that would be a loophole. You could just change the name of your party.
Yeah.
Sure. The blue party. You call it whatever you want.
Right. In Florida, you just call it that. Everywhere else, it's the Democratic Party. But in the same sense, they're all still Democrats at heart.
But in the meantime, yes, that would be you would have to do that. I agree. You would have to comply with whatever that was, and then you would have to pursue it in court and challenge it constitutionally. It would go to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court would say that, this is a good thing, this is a bad thing, we're going to keep this, we're not going to keep this. Or they won't even see it at all. Let it stand.
Right.
On the last decision, whatever the last decision was, that's where it will stand. I think that if it went to any court, maybe with the exception of a Florida court, that it would fail on its merit, and the law would be stricken down. But I don't. I haven't heard anything like that. That must have been fairly recently, if it's something you've heard. But even still, I'm not surprised. Considering they're talking about secession. Do they have the Republican support of their own supermajority?
Well,
big thing. That's really, what do you want to go down in history as? Are you fucking kidding me? Are you really trying to destroy democracy and just have a dictatorship or, autocracy? What are you looking for? What do they want?
Well, as I was watching a bunch of things and thinking, and one of the things I'm thinking about is if DeSantis blows this Disney deal.
It's blown.
Well, he's like I said, he's got lawyers and all this. He's fighting it. But if in the end it comes out to be nothing, that there's nothing he can do, what are his chances then of winning the primary for president? Since he lost the biggest thing he stood on.
Well, considering that his primary would be throughout the country,
right?
I don't think he won't win the primary now. I don't think so.
You don't think he'll win the primary?
No. And to be honest, I think if Trump wins, it'll be a sweep. It'll be someone else. I hate to say it, but it could even be Haley. Maybe they're in the position now of we have to vote the best of the bad people in. And who knows, that might be someone like Haley that they think they can control. I don't know. I have no idea who. I think DeSantis is digging himself a larger hole. He might smoke in Florida. He might do great. He might win every vote. Who knows? But even Florida, it's going to be very, very different how the country feels about him. And I don't think he's looking at the right poll numbers. Same with Trump too. I think Trump has just backed himself into so many corners. He's going to be involved with so many different, things. I don't know if it was timed that way or not.
I think that even though he's trying to push that bullshit, that it's a political hit job.
Right, but that's old. That's so old. That's so 2016.
Well, now some of his supporters are actually pushing to arrest the Manhattan prosecutor.
Yeah. They can't. I mean,
the thing is, if for treason and
with a response and gave over his files, from what I understand, he was a 2-year felon.
Well, they were trying to get him arrested on the grounds of treason and election interference, and then they said, "Well, we're not sure if election interference is a crime, but yeah." I don't think it's treason if you're doing your job just because he's a former president.
Well,
First of all, if it's a former president, you're not really committing treason.
No, he's nobody. He's just a civilian with a title. That's it. He can't even drive a car. He is a civilian now, but he's guarded because of this shit in his head. He knows stuff about the government that he can't leak out. So that's why his calls are monitored. His stuff, everything about him is.
I honestly don't think that he has enough in his head to worry about.
No, but it doesn't matter. That's just the privilege that presidents get. He gets what every other president gets. He gets that special medical attention.
I mean, if he ever got kidnapped and tortured, the most they get out of him is, "I like chocolate cake."
Yeah, right. And KFC from my chef. Yeah.
You know, he doesn't have the secrets. I'm sure he's the type of guy that once he walked out.
That's why he took boxes of them, because he doesn't know what they are. He's like, look at these. These are nice pictures and words. They have words on them, and there's a picture.
I'm sure he's the type of guy that once he walked out of the White House door for the last time, he forgot everything.
He had to constantly. He had to be told all the time, I bet. You know, what's my code? What's my this? What's my that? He didn't know.
He actually told Hannity that he was
like they were doing a PowerPoint presentation with a nice big picture for him. Did you see how big his shit was?
He actually told Hannity that he was allowed to take those things home.
Yeah, I know. I heard that. Yeah, because now he admits it. You know, it's like he digs himself a hole all the time.
Not only that, but he put a post on Truth Central saying the former president, Donald Trump, and he said this himself about himself, which means he knows that he's not the president and he knows he didn't win that election.
Yeah, right.
Because all this time he's been going, you know, I won, I'm still the president. Everybody's going, he's still the president. He comes out and goes, no, the former president.
And I do think the country is getting pretty sick of the whiny little temper tantrums and stuff like that. When he freaks out in all caps, and you know, I didn't know it, but it's there's a legal term for it now. I can't think of what it is, but anyway, it's threat. It's a threat. You know, here he is. He's got this all cap thing, and he threatens verbally. Prosecutor Bragg, the DA. And then he's got a picture of him with a bat and the dude's head. Well, at some point after that, he took down the pictures of the bat.
He didn't.
Legal. He can get it. You know, there's consequences for that. And
well,
I think what happened maybe in this New York thing is they're adding more charges on it. I bet you they are. They should too. You know, no one's above the friggin' law, man. John Stewart nailed it. You know, who cares? The law has no place for, are you real powerful? Is he going to be a martyr? The law doesn't know any of that. You know, justice doesn't care about that. That doesn't matter. And and if something explodes, so be it. He still deserves justice. It's irrelevant what happens after that.
Right. You either have the rule of law or you don't.
Right. It's a rule of law for everyone or no one. You know, and this is bullshit. He must.
He what?
With some kind of freaking consequence, but you know, he must admit his fucking guilt somehow. It's got to be there for everyone to see, and the lies got to be out. It's the only way we get about this. Period. I hate to say.
Do you think that DeSantis can outsmart Disney?
DeSantis? No, because I think he's working with someone else that's he's do this and this and this. Oh, I need to whatever. No, I think there's someone else that he's got or a team of someone else probably. No, I don't. I think Meatball, whatever. I think that was a pretty good accurate jive. That's a quote from someone else.
All righty. Well, we'll just have to keep an eye on it and see.
Oh, actually, didn't he call him Meatball? Yeah, he did. Trump called him Meatball.
Yeah, he did. He did. Whoa, hey, Cut that out.
Hi. A little late for the warning, don't you think, there, buddy?
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. But we'll have to keep an eye on that and see where it goes, because I'd like to see Disney just stick it to him and
Oh yeah, totally, absolutely.
Because now he has to keep that panel filled with his people, which means they have to get paid for basically doing nothing.
And Pence has been told he must testify. He's not getting out of it. Nope.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure he could plead the fifth.
Yes, but in this type of situation, that can be used against you. They can look into, read into that and make a, form an opinion about that. They're allowed to. That's where this is different. So yeah, go ahead and plead the fifth, but jury is allowed to form, an outcome.
Because I have a feeling that that's all they're going to get out of Trump too.
Trump said no, he didn't go. He sent another witness instead, and he was the guy who was to, be the opposition to Cohen. Give the counter to that, and I have a feeling that probably failed.
Yeah, but I'm sure that once it goes to trial, once the indictment comes out and he has to go to trial, he's got to show up.
I don't know if he. Yeah, I think he has to show up for his trial, but he doesn't have to testify. He's got to sit there. And I pray that it's public. I'm hoping and praying that it's public. I want to watch every bit of it. We need to see this one. The country needs to see it. They need to see it live. They need to hear how he responds to stuff, how he wiggles in his chair, or whatever, any body language he has, what his witnesses say. Because he can't just say blah, blah, blah. The truth is going to come out, and the country, actually the world, needs to hear it.
Right.
This bullshit's out there. And it's called out for what it is. Just like the Proud Boys guy. I forget his damn name now. Eye patch guy. He was found for sedition.
Right.
The
guy who shot himself in the face?
Yeah, he shot himself in the face. Oh, man. Yeah.
Geniuses. All right, brother. Well, looks like another show done and dusted. So we'll put this one to bed, and we'll see you all next time.
All right.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
Peace.